Thanks for choosing us. We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Now, government is seeking the support of traditional authorities to widen the scope of the Planting for Food and Jobs program. The decision follows the launch of phase 2 of the program, while President Akufo-Addo has been engaging with members of the National House of Chiefs as part of efforts to make large tracts of land available for farming. The president expects that the support of chiefs will further enhance efforts to make the program successful, with about 80% of Ghana's land being customary owned by chiefs and families. My colleague Nanaya Ojima attended that meeting. He joins me right now on the phone with more. Nanaya, what has been the outcome of the engagement with the chiefs?
So it's essentially an engagement with the chiefs to ensure that these chiefs get to understand the issue of the Planting for Food and Jobs, where chiefs are expected to assist and contribute to land on a flexible terms with these farmers to ensure that farmers are able to cultivate on large tracts of land for the purpose of the program. Now, what government intends to do is that at least create agricultural zones which will be 300 acres of land, where together with these private people, government will ensure that the various amenities that is needed to ensure sustainable and all year round agriculture is given out or these places are developed for such a project. Now, President Akufo-Addo is pleading that these chiefs buy into the project and ensure that the program that he believes will be able to turn around the fortunes of the country in regards with the economy, and also ensuring that the food sustainability is assured. The chiefs will get to buy into this program, ensure the success of this program. He also admitted that he has knowledge that some of these chiefs are giving out agriculture lands to private developers, and he wants the chiefs to desist from that to ensure that Ghana is food resilient.
Now, the other concern is about the transportation of the final produce after harvesting to the consumers. How does he plan to deal with the cost of transporting that final produce to the final consumers?
No, according to the president, there will be development of land which he terms as agricultural zones, and in these areas they will ensure that roads are developed to link these areas to the market. So these produce which are harvested on the farm will be easily accessible by the market, so that the issue with harvest losses are all dealt with. And also, according to the president, they are relying on private people to ensure that storage is provided in these areas, so that when there is bumper harvest, at least some of the harvest could be stored for the future.
Thank you so much, Nanaya Ojima. I'm sure you'll be monitoring the meeting and give us updates as when you have them. Now, let's do other agricultural related stories. A bag of cocoa has been increased from 800 Ghana cedis to 1,308 cedis for the 2023-2024 season. A ton of the commodity will now sell at 20,943 cedis from 12,800 cedis. Now, this represents 63.5% increase in the cost of the cash crop, the highest it has seen in the last 15 years across the West African sub-region. Announcing the price adjustment at the opening of the new crop season at Tepa, President Akufo-Addo said the new price is aimed at sustaining the cocoa sector.
Until recently, international prices of cocoa have remained relatively low and made worse by COVID-19. In spite of this, Cocoa Board and government have been taking the very hard decision of increasing producer price of cocoa. Cocoa prices have increased from 7,600 cedis per ton in 2016 to 12,800 cedis per ton in 2022. a significant increase of 68%. This has had an adverse impact on Cocoa Board's financial performance. However, the sustainability of the entire industry hinges on a well-remunerated producer who's willing to invest in business only with the certain that government will pay the appropriate price. The international market is beginning to pick up, and government, in keeping with our promise to our gallant cocoa farmers, has today increased cocoa prices from 12,800 cedis per ton to 20,943 cedis per ton, or 1,308 cedis per bag. That price is 70.5% of the gross FOB price and is equivalent to $1,821 per ton. It is the highest to be paid to cocoa farmers across West Africa in some 50 years. With the predicted stable prices above 2,600 United States dollars threshold, government will continue to honor our farmers with good prices in the years ahead. Indeed, better days are ahead.
Well, Minister for Food and Agriculture Brian Champion believes the new prices would improve the livelihood of farmers.
Cocoa farmers gathered and scattered across the country will agree with me that history is not accepted at the cashier's office when school reopens. Cash is what is accepted, and cash is what you will put in the pocket of cocoa farmers. Sikabe ba yebotum. Mr. President, this big announcement is part of the Cocoa Board turnaround you ordered, and I assure the nation that now Cocoa Board has recovered and will deliver the mandate to cocoa farmers and surely make Ghana proud. Clearly, with the drafting of the turnaround strategy as directed by the President, and the effect that we are seeing today gives great promise to cocoa farmers and the cocoa industry.
Well, some excited cocoa farmers are convinced the new price will discourage many farmers from smuggling the commodity to neighboring countries. Listen to some of them.
For us to hear this huge pricing coming for us now, I think it will help us massively. Because of late, we used to suffer. Even for us to buy chemicals to work on our farms now was somehow difficult for us. So with this price, we are well satisfied with what they've given to us.
We thank Mr. President, we thank the President for the price being announced today. From now onwards, the pruning, the hand pollination, all the agronomic practices, we are going to make sure that it's being done well so that the production will be increased.
Now, over 200 passengers on board a Delta airline flight number DL157, which left the shores of Ghana on Friday at about 11 p.m. to New York, are stranded after the pilot had to make an emergency landing 5 hours into the flight due to an oxygen malfunction on the plane. According to passengers, the flight crew told members on board that they are working to fix the slight technical challenge, but for the past 8 hours, they are yet to get it fixed. They have to wait at Lajes Airport in Azores, an island in Portugal. Well, we've made attempts to reach Delta Airline to get their side of the story. We're yet to get that, but then we're monitoring closely events and we'll bring you updates as at when we have them. Now let's do some political related story. The governing New Patriotic Party says leading member Alan Tremantin is yet to provide evidence to back claims of unfairness in the Super Delegates Conference held by the party. Mr. Tremantin withdrew his candidature in the November 4 Delegates Conference of the party, citing unfairness and intimidation of his supporters Opinions are divided on the matter, but the Deputy General Secretary of the party, Haruna Mohammed, says the party is yet to be served with evidence to aid investigations into the matter.
Every aspirant who had taken the point to pick nomination to contest knew very well that if we have more than 5 of the aspirants, we will go for super delegates. And these are the constituents of the super delegates conference. So if one has to say that this has been skewed for one particular aspirant, then the party wouldn't have, even in the first place, opened up nomination for everybody, since the party knew that we are going to skew something for one particular candidate. But it is very clear that this particular point, Mr. Allen misses. To also say that, to say that this particular, the results of his decision to go is because of what has happened within those particular centers, in terms of violation, in terms of intimidation and all that. The General Secretary of the party took it upon himself on Sunday, that was on the 27th of August, to petition mentioning and citing some persons, including Kennedy Ohina Japan and regional executives of the party, and which has been referred to the disciplinary committee of our party. Mr. Allen had made complaints. The General Secretary had made complaints. Several other members of the party had made complaints. This is before the disciplinary committee. The disciplinary committee invited members of the party who has been cited. They have been spoken to, they have interviewed them, they are taking their initial comment and making sure they report to us.
A former member of parliament for Tamale Central, Inusa Fusino, insists the entire election machinery of the NPP was set up for Alan Tremantin to fail.
In fact, they thought that their project to elect a flag bearer must end with the Super Delegates Congress. They were aiming at over 70% for Bawumia, so that they could make a case for Bawumia to go into the elections without a Delegates Congress. They actively supported candidates from the Ashanti region to show interest in the fight. They actively. And I don't know what I'm talking to you about.
Well, it's only an allegation.
There's an allegation.
It's an allegation.
But so many months ago, about a year and a half ago, I chanced on somebody who was actively campaigning for the vice president. And he told me, do you know that what's his name? Afriye.
Also Afriye.
Also Afriye is going to contest.
The Akoto
Afriye. Now, so that was directed at the Ashanti region.
He was not doing this for the first time. Is it fair to make this kind of allegation against also Afriye Akoto?
He was not doing that for the first time. He was not doing that. I know he's not doing that.
Yeah, so it's not fair to say that he's been planted there by the establishment.
It's part of the establishment.
To beat down Alan's.
In fact, he's so close to the establishment that the establishment has spoken to him to back off.
Really?
He prized his relationship with the establishment.
So the big question is, what are the options available to Alan Tremantin as the nation awaits the announcement of his political future? Well, political risk analyst Dr. Chile Champion has been sharing his insights.
He's been around from the first term right through until the second term. I don't think that is necessarily an issue because he can raise resources from other places. If he really wanted to contest to the point of, wanting to win, again, look at even his posture, in some of the statements that were made prior to the election with, things like Igbo and things like that. I mean, where the party is currently, if you look at the dynamic, those things don't necessarily sell or win votes. So the next round, possibly could be open up for him something, is whether possibly in contest as an independent candidate, like the Daily Graphic was reporting back in April of 2008. And this one is very interesting because, again, if you look at the map of our politics in Ghana, right, election margins on average have been between 1% to the 10% right mark. But in recent times, you're looking at just about 3% winning margin. What that translates into is you need to only be able to do about 400,000 or so votes to change the outcome of the election in the country. So the question then is, if Ghana decides to contest as an independent candidate, and the point from Global Info Analytics and others shows that at the general population level, he has some sort of appeal, right? Then that could actually spell disaster for the MPP.
Well, let's stay with politics a while longer. The NDC knows I will give them a showdown. Reason they fear me. Now, those are the words of Dr. Bawumia as he resumes campaigning ahead of the November presidential race in the Oti region in the Nkwanta South constituency. Dr. Bawumia came tops in the first round of the polls to select 5 top candidates. The race has already seen the withdrawal of key contender Alan Tremontin. Dr. Bawumia says the NDC is terrified about his candidature. Listen.
If you listen to the Zongo communities and what they are saying, it is good news for us. They say they don't believe MPP will present Dr. Bawumia to lead the party. But if this happens, they will vote for him. That's what they are saying. They will vote for him, and that is true. So if you look at the strongholds in the North and Zongo communities, it indicates that if Bawumia leads the MPP, they will fall for the MPP. And when this happens, the NDC cannot win the election. I will also secure more votes from the voter region. So all their strongholds will shake. That is why they fear Dr. Bawumia, because they all know that I will give them a showdown.
Because showdown.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, Member of Parliament for Swami and Majority Leader Chile Champion has called on Christian leaders to pray for God's protection over the country as the wave of coups and terrorism take over Africa. The military takeover in Gabon is the latest in the string of coups that have taken place in recent years and comes just a month after soldiers took control over Niger. Speaking at an event at the Assemblies of God Church in Kumasi, the parliamentarian said the country's economic downturn should not be a motivation to bring down institutions. Nanabuachi Adam has the rest of the story.
The East Regional Officers of the Assemblies of God Church, Majority Leader Osei Mensah-Bonsu, said happenings across the African continent are indication that Christians must not relent in prayer.
There is indeed an encircling gloom, quite apart from the economic crunch that we have in Ghana. If you know the events that are playing out in Burkina Faso, today, Burkina Faso, about 70% of Burkina Faso is lost to terrorists. You know what has happened in Niger quite recently. Chad. And just 3 days ago, Gabon. The next country on the radar is La Côte d'Ivoire. And if it should happen to La Côte d'Ivoire, God save Ghana. And that's why we must be very prayerful that God's hands will continue to be on Ghana.
Chei Mensah-Bonsu says Ghana's economic downturn must not be a motivation to bring down institutions.
We must admit that there are some afflictions that as a nation we have brought to ourselves.
And that's how we wrap up the bulletin here on JoyNews Prime. My name is Faustina Safo. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a pleasant evening.